Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. So work is caught up to Colby and I, so this is a first. There'll be no Colby and Chop Liver giving you the post game, or should I say the dreaded post game. I'm going to be short, sweet, and to the point with this. When the turd polishers on the other platforms have to resort to stats to justify this team or define this team, you can be sure it's a house of cards. Now, myself and Colby have been breaking film down week after week after week, and we have said time and time again that this is not a number one defense despite the stats. If you're the number one defense, as Mark Schlereth just is, doing anything to help his buddy Elway out, you are not going to allow the Raiders to get down and score a field goal at the end of the fourth quarter when the Raiders basically got away from what they were doing very well, running in the B gaps. Again, you're not going to be a number one defense if every team that plays you and runs in the B gaps successfully. And last week, Tennessee Titans took a break from giving Henry the ball, gave him a rest, because guess what? They figured they could throw the ball on the Broncos. We've always said this is a team begging to be thrown on. But for the Raiders, as bad as they are, they had to rely on the running game, set up those throws that they had, so they get away from it. So now they have to. You'd think the Broncos had this one in the bag. You'd think. But the defense breaks down. This so-called number one defense breaks down. So they kick a field goal. They get the coin toss. And just with no problem at all, march downfield. And what it looks like, and we're going to really barbecue Justin Simmons. And this guy, it looked like he was the only safety back there. And he's completely left. He just left that area completely open for Devontae Adams, who nobody just really was going to cover. And I'm not putting this on edge row. You're only as good as the army you bring to battle. This is not a number one defense. You don't you're a number one defense. You get the ball, you turn it. The Raiders don't do what they just did. The Raiders of all people don't do what they did. Don't give me this number one bullshit defense anymore. It's a house of cards, and it got exposed yet again. It has got exposed every week. It's just that they're playing equally inept offenses who, for whatever reason, decide to get away, and even the Raiders decide to get away and not be what they did in the last week, just stick to it. So the Raiders, despite trying to cut their own nose off despite their face, pulled out the game because guess what? This isn't a number one defense. Now, on the positive note with this offense, you had Clint Kubiak finally becoming offensive coordinator. Play caller. Now it's play caller. Basically coming up with a game plan. Me and Colby just preached from the top, preached at the rooftops. These three tight end sets, run the ball, set up the pass. Don't try to go and play Shermer ball. The bad news is it took them till week 11 to figure that out. And they've been working. If they've been doing that since week 1, like we said in the off season. In the preseason, had they started doing this, maybe things would be different. It took them, begrudgingly. They don't want to do anything we say because they hate us, because we know the front office and we know who runs it and we know who needs to go. You got two teams, dwelling in the cellar. These are two struggling teams. When you watch the game, you could see two struggling teams playing. Let's get into Russell Wilson a little bit. $250 million. John Elway, we know you got the ego the size of a T-Rex and a brain the size of a walnut. You couldn't help yourself. You couldn't. I'm sure you went to Seattle when you made this deal, gave Seattle everything under the sun. That you had to do that. And even though I think Seattle probably would have taken it for less, but hindsight's 20/20. And you promised you promised Russell Wilson that this isn't just a Seattle deal. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. And you got yourself now a guy that is not $250 million. He's got a lot of cleanup to do. He's got to learn how to get rid of the ball, not bail out on the pocket. And I get it. The offensive line, but Clint Kubiak was trying to help you out by getting these throws off quicker. Hanging on to the ball, giving up on the pocket. and, throwing, I don't know, balls up in the air, hoping that Melvin Gordon comes down with it. That's going to bite you in the ass one of these days, man. It's going to be a pick six all the way. Okay, let's go to another John Elway player, Sutton, on offense. You got your contract, so you don't have to really play as hard as you used to. Dropping balls seems to be now your thing. Clutch is not your thing. Okay, let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. I'm getting really tired of hearing about Draymond Jones by people like Mark Schlereth, trying to, another one of Elway's picks, trying to make this guy something he is not. They ran on his side of the field constantly. Big plays. This guy it just isn't worth the money. All talk from Dove Valley, all talk. And of course, when we'll take a look at Carr. A lot of times you could read War and Peace back there. There is no push up the middle. They had some plays on the edges, but again, when you don't have push up the middle, you just step up in the pocket and make the throws. One day, maybe some year, some century, they'll figure out what really works instead of spending all their time and resources hyping up players that don't deserve it. Now I want to jog on over to the offense. Again, they want to go into Shermer ball, and every time it just gets them in trouble. Every single time. Ends up with Wilson bailing, hanging on to the ball too long. They need to take baby steps. So, I don't know. I think there's going to be some soul searching. You can get rid of Hackett. That's not going to change anything. You think Edgerow, I can't really even blame Edgerow. I mean, he's stuck with who he's got. You're going to play some teams. This time, teams that don't get away from what works. And, what I would do, again, is, running those B gaps, hit the Broncos in the middle, go after Justin Simmons. That's just a recipe for success right there. So I just want to say on behalf of the Seattle Seahawk Nation, even though I'm a Bronco fan, I just want to say the Seahawk Nation thanks you, Denver Bronco organization, for being a bunch of retards on the front office and setting them up with probably one of the best drafts they ever had. Look, they got two quarterbacks, they can bridge, and they can start building the team right from the inside out. They may be that force again that they once were, back in the Legion of Boom days. Now they got that I guess what you call that albatross of Russell Wilson off their neck. They're free to really build and build correctly the way me and Colby have always said to do it. And the Dove Valley way just is not the way to do it. One day, Rob Walton, you'll get a clue, and you will start clearing out that front office. Yeah, you can get rid of coaches. You do it all. That's all you do. So let's bring in another system, mismatch systems again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Until you get rid of that front office, all that Elway stench out of there, and nothing is going to change at Dove Valley for the Denver Broncos. Nothing's going to change.